Hello, everybody. This is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 103.5, broadcasting out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, on the UPRN website, on Roku, cable television, YouTube, Spreaker, X, formerly known as Twitter, and other internet platforms. And we're really happy to see you today. I am, of course, broadcasting out of lovely France still. I'm still across the ocean. And all I can say about it here is it's beautiful if you like kind of wet, cloudy weather. It's been really wet in the EU and in the UK, and I don't know if anybody really likes it except for the ducks and fish and stuff because it's been really wet. Maybe it'll be really greening up by the Olympics. We will see. Hopefully, it'll be greening up by tomorrow. I'm really kind of tired of it. Uh, so anyway, welcome. Glad you're all here, and I'm going to bring on our guest, Sonya Sophia. Hi, Sonya.
Hi,
It's a pleasure
Bart.
to see you.
Thank you for
Yes,
having me
yes,
back.
yeah. I'm really glad you're here. Sonya, of course, is from Austin, Texas area, and you travel all over the place all the time as well. So I always kind of see you kind of a little more international than just Austin.
That's true.
Yes. And ever since I've known you, you've been involved in emotional freedom technique, which is what our theme is today, which is how to process anything with your own two hands. And
That's right.
clever title. Can you just tell everybody what the heck that means?
Yeah. Well, our bodies came built in with a way to reset and self regulate. That means bringing ourselves back to center, allowing ourselves to process in real time. And it turns out that it's not as hard as you think, even if you've had horrible things happen to you, or you've witnessed terrible things, or you've suffered abuse and trauma just from being in the world. There is a way for us to reset the nervous system, discharge old accumulated information that might be cellular memory, that might be actual memory of like you saw or witnessed or participated in something, or even just genetic memory, which is inherited through the family bloodline. All of that stuff can be dealt with, and we have ways to do it that are quick
Mm,
and effective and as painless as we can make it. And I'm on fire to let people know why, because we deserve to feel happy and healthy, stable, and able. And that, my friends, helps us move humanity forward, coming into alignment with our true natures. So our
yeah.
soul has room to animate our body freely so that we can be in alignment with our purpose, in alignment with what is right and true and good and noble about the human being.
And that's wonderful. And the words that you say, well, I've been on fire with this, and I've known you off and on for the last 20 years. I've watched you just just promote this, and there's just so much enthusiasm for it, and just asking you, how do you keep it up for 20 years doing this work and stuff? What wakes you up in the morning?
Watching people heal and advance and evolve in hours makes me excited to get out of bed. I sit and work with my private clients for hours a day. I'm sitting here tapping and talking all day. I'm training practitioners. I just went to a wedding, a transformational wedding in Valley, California. I just got back, where my most loyal student, who has actually become a master of this, had a 200-person wedding micro festival
Wow.
where people came up crying and said to me, "Thank you for saving his life. He saved my life." And they gave me hugs in tears for the work that I trained him to do. So it's rippling out, and there's this legacy of love and change. So that's what wakes me up in the morning. If I
Yeah.
found something that I thought worked better, I'd be telling people about that. So it's just watching perfectly good humans refurbish themselves and step into their power and become leaders and beautiful, community leaders and conscious parents, and restructuring the world from a beautiful, noble place. That's what wakes me up.
That's a good answer. In anything, I mean, to me, EFT is so unique because you're literally tapping on your body, and that vibration of tapping um, sends a vibration, a different vibration than a lot of other modalities because they're verbal or they use something else. But I find it unique in that perspective. I don't know anything else that you do it that way. And
Right.
so,
It's using the acupuncture meridians. So we're taking the knowledge that's thousands of years old from the Chinese, where they were like, hey, there is an electrical system in the body. It moves through the Bongon channels, which are these tiny little fascia tubes that go, they're like fiber optics that go through your fascia. They've actually been able to stain them and see them. They're real. They're not just energetic. They're tiny, tiny little filaments that electricity passes through. And when you tap percussively on these points, it has a similar effect as putting a needle in them, right? So a needle is a
mm,
small piece of conductive material that's meant to bring etheric energy into a deflated channel, or like a lightning rod, allow excess energy to leave so that the body can regulate the electricity in the body. The body is bioelectric. We run on electricity. All of our cells take electricity. So if you've got wires that are shorted out, you've got a fuse that's blown, your body literally doesn't have the energy to deal with it. And you'll hear that in people's speech. It's like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have the energy. I can't think straight. I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. So EFT takes you to the circuit breaker. You're flipping the circuit breakers on and off, resetting the physical body. Then you're doing the psychological process, which is just acknowledging the story and the
yeah,
experience that you've had. And then you're doing the spiritual process, which is just bringing empathy, loving kindness, acceptance of reality for now, for what happened. And when you have those three things, body, mind, and spirit, in the same place, we go quantum. And that's
yes,
why I'm here on your show, because it's a tool for quantum consciousness.
yes, yes. So true. And, you were using a word like people are so tired these days. There's so many people. It's like, I just don't have enough energy to do certain things. And when I look at it, you could say, oh, it's not all diet. It's overwhelming of electricity or overwork or doldrums, and also the brain patterns or our neurological patterns are just doing the same thing every day, which kind of gets us kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And from what you're saying, you're re-stimulating all of that.
Not only re-stimulating, but we're releasing protein bonds where things that fired together wired together. We're actually pulling synapses apart and rewiring the brain and making new connections. So the
Hmm.
brain is more stimulated. When people release the trauma that is taking up all the disk space in the cellular memory of their body and in their minds, their creativity comes back, their IQs jump. I have become more intelligent. My brain moves more quickly. I have more vitality than I did, 5 years ago. So there's this, like, I worked 12 hours yesterday joyfully and still watched movies until, 1 in the morning, because I was like, okay. So and that's not me, pounding coffee or on stimulants. That is the joy of doing what I'm doing, and also having a pretty cleaned up nervous system. And that's what I'm excited to teach people and to share with people. And I built that with my own two hands. And I want people to know you don't have to go to get professional help. You can actually do it yourself. And then I created a system for people who may not have a lot of money to invest in healing and in therapy that might really need some support. So, when I didn't have a lot of money, I was like, how do I help people get the support that they need? And I've spent the last, 10 years broadcasting a healing experience for people online. And now I have hundreds of these available for about $5 a week, $20 a month, so that people can be like, okay, I've tried everything. Let me go to town. Let me try this silly tapping thing. Oh my gosh. And their bodies will just erupt in burping and yawning and tingles and prickles and all this energy and memory and discharging all this stuff from the nervous system that was never meant to be there or never meant to be stored there permanently. So it's like if you never cleaned your house and you just kept taking stuff in and no one showed you how to take out the trash or get rid of things, you'd be like, I'm heavy and I'm tired and I can't move and there's no space for me. And I'm like, hey, we got a cleanup crew coming in. Let's go. Every day we're going to take out trash. We're cleaning out cupboards. What is this? Why is this here? We don't need this. That's from 2 years old. We don't need
Yep.
this. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I'm having a dance party in my living room because there's all this new space.
Wow. That's so wonderful. I mean, I don't think it's just because I'm a Taurean, but I think it's the nature of the human brain is to be predictable, follow routines, do the same things over and over again because it takes less work for the brain's functioning. And if you're tapping, it sounds like you're just rewiring or challenging the brain to just jump out of those old systems.
That's true. And what's cool is that you can create new systems that are more functional. So sometimes those habits and patterns and routines serve us, like brushing your teeth and getting to bed on time and staying hydrated and having certain practices that you do that keep you on course that you do every week at a certain time or in a certain place. However, we also have certain habits like eating late junk food at night or over drinking on a weekend or being in bad relationships or not charging our worth or whatever we do. So we can disrupt those patterns far more easy using EFT. So most of the harm that we experience, we do to ourselves.
Exactly, through old patterns, emotional patterns. And it just sounds like you can address it present tense issues, but also go back to past tense. And before you answer that, I just want to say to the audience, if you do have questions with Sonya Sophia, or even to address something of an issue, this show has a space for that. So, just jump on the chat and ask questions or ask about something that you would like to have addressed. And from what I understand, you're willing to take it to the streets, so to speak.
Oh, 100%. Why? Because this is my world. And these are my people, meaning all of the people on this planet. We are related, we are interconnected. I remember that. I've been here for a very, 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 very long time. I'm committed to this little beautiful globe. These are expanding consciousness times, and we are here doing this work together, and it's beautiful. There's nothing more interesting or exciting going on than the evolution of our species. So we're learning how to take care of ourselves. We're learning how to take care of each other, and we're learning how to take care of the planet. And it has to be done from the inside out. You can't just organically garden your way out of this and still be attacking yourself with either habits and patterns or negative self-talk or limiting beliefs. We shift it in here, and then we create an environment that kind of happy, stable personality would love to inhabit, right? So we're doing the
Mm-hmm.
cleanup work of cleaning up war, cleaning up child abuse, cleaning up rape, cleaning up sexism, cleaning up racism, cleaning up classism, cleaning up colonialism, cleaning up any kind of ism, ageism. We're cleaning that up in ourselves, in our consciousness. releasing that by our own command with our own two hands. And pretty soon, Bart said that I could give y'all a little demo tap. So I'm excited to give you an actual experience. It's one thing to hear me like get excited and wax on poetically about this, but I'm like, all right, prove it to me. I'm a show me kind of girl. I'm like, oh, I'll show you. I'll show
Well,
you. You
yes,
try
and
this
I
out.
want you to, but I have a couple of more questions for you. And one of them is, yeah, being that I'm in France, I do spiritual tours, and this place is very conducive to uh, working into astral, working into other realms of higher realms. And I think, and I have a really strong belief that we can extend our consciousness, our more of our astral neural system out to kind of endless places, around the world, various places in the world if we choose to put our attention there, or into the ethers, maybe to work with angels of the highest realm. In other words, our being can actually be there. And I wondered if EFT could address some of those talents and abilities and enhance them.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I believe what this tool is, other than a, feel better and process and get back to a baseline and stable, I believe that this is a spiritual advancement tool. So when you take rocks and debris and trauma and horrible experiences out of the nervous system has more room in it. Your spirit has more room to move around. What happens then? Your creativity goes up, your curiosity goes up, your ability to stay grounded and emotionally stable while parts of your identity are melting away. And that opens up the realm to higher experience, because you can't take the I think I know who I am and what I'm capable of, because this is what has been. If you want to go talk to expanded realms, if you want to get downloads and information from the beyond, if you're terrified of meeting an angel, do you think they're going to come hang out with you and, have lunch? No. You've got to be like, okay, glowing luminous orb of something that seems to want to communicate with me. That's normal and fine. I'm open to you. And they're like, great, because I didn't want to scare you. I want to bless you. I want to help you. I want to give you information. I want to commune with you. So you can actually upgrade your psychic and spiritual abilities with this tool. I do recommend that you start in the basement shoveling out all of that backed up sewage that has been piling up, because you want to be able to have the space to and the grace inside you to be able to do something with those spiritual skills, right?
And
It's
that
not just a
sludge,
circus that
that
you're
and
experimenting with.
and that basement sludge would be something like your repressed emotions and traumas and cool stuff like that, correct?
Correct. And also resentments and
Oh yes.
things that, maybe you didn't clear your heart with your dad before he died, or maybe your mother abandoned you or was abusive, and that created a low self esteem, and you didn't get to complete those conversations. So, yeah, we can do the slow way where we wait and have those deathbed conversations with whoever's available while we're on some kind of drug in a hospital, or we can have the cleanup conversations we need to have inside of ourselves, process it out, and then go have a conversation in real life, starting with, I love you and I forgive you, and here's what I forgive you for, and here was the impact. I don't judge you, I don't hate you, I just want you to know we are now complete. Thank you for my life. And like finish that,
Mm,
right? And then you have all this extra space inside you for like the vacation bonus package of like, well, who am I and what am I capable of?
indeed. It's so much freedom because everything works neurologically or electrically. And when the flow happens, so many more opportunities happen because your intention is right there. It's a purer intention. So we want to try as many tools as possible to have a clear flow of life force in us. And this is a good one.
Exactly, Bart. And what is a pure intention? A pure intention is an intention that is not tarnished with fear or shame or guilt or attack energy or blame or any of these feelings. Well, how do you get a pure intention without the contractions of that? You go clean out the stuff that would make a contraction. Your intention
Yeah.
is automatically pure when you're aligned with love and there isn't, and your motivation has been purified. Like, I'm not doing
Yes.
it because I need you to like me, or I'm not doing it because I'm desperate for money, or I'm not doing it because my daddy didn't do it, so will you do it, right? All of that stuff is gone. So I'm doing it because it feels right. I'm doing it because this is what my heart wants. I'm doing this because when I pray and meditate, this is what is a yes inside me. That's a pure intention.
Yeah. And it's darn fun.
100%. It's darn fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It always feels great to feel good. And your website, we have two websites, uh, Sonya Sophia, but also this one I always find more intriguing in your commitment to it, uh, the World Tapping Circle. And so, with that name, it sounds like you're doing world work for intentions for the world to be a lighter, higher vibrational place. And you probably start with what's going on inside of everybody before you send that out to the world.
Absolutely. So, in this broadcast, much like what you're doing, there are people from all over the world benefiting from our time here together. And with the miracle of the internet, it's sort of like, okay, I'm tapping live on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central, which is early morning in Japan. And there are people in Japan tapping with me live. There are people in Nepal tapping with me live. There are people in Europe who are staying up late. There are people in New York, in California, in Austin, Texas. In New Zealand, so they're coming in being like, this is a stable container that has been going on for 10 years. This is my 10-year anniversary of being like, I'm going
Wow.
to hold space for whoever wants to show up and do a plug and play tap where you can just sit and process. We record it, we upload it, the replay video library is there. People are tapping with me while I'm sleeping using the video library. So it's around the clock. Like, how do I give my love to this world in a way that's practical, in a way that yields actual results? That's what my heart said was right to do. How do I hold this beautiful world and humanity in a way that creates higher function and more peace in the home and more peace in the body, more healing in the body, because the body's in resonance with love and in resonance with itself? How do I get people to understand they actually have a mission and a purpose, and find the courage and give them the love and the support continuously to have the courage to build that purpose into an actual reality to share with the rest of us? So that's the intention, and that's my experience of what's happening.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's so great. We're close to midpoint, and I just wanted to tell everybody that you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious. And my name is Bart Sharp, and this is the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 103.5 out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Also on Roku, cable television, UPRN website, um, Spreaker, YouTube, and other internet platforms. And we are with Sonya Sophia, and we're going to be doing some tapping here. But we just want to offer this to other people that may be listening. If you want to join on the chat and send a message of something that you would like to address, we're we're open to that. Uh, and so you want to just start talking about how this stuff works? I mean, more the mechanics along the
Yeah.
line.
So just physically, we're tapping on the meridian points with our fingers, and we're speaking out loud our experience, and we're bringing empathy and compassion into the mix. Energetically, what's happening is we're putting in a little Google search into our brain for this feeling and this experience and everything related to that kind of opens on the desktop of our mind, and we read those documents with empathy, and the protein bonds that have held this information and encapsulated this information start to release. Your brain goes into a semi psychedelic state, chemical bonds change, your synapses release, electrical current is now available, and you can rewire your brain with a new thought and a new desired outcome consciously. And you say that a few times, it glues it together because there's nothing contradicting it anymore. You do that enough, and you've built a new nervous system for yourself, i.e., you are a person who didn't experience the trauma anymore because it's no longer affecting you. So you'll keep the wisdom. You might still kind of vaguely remember what happened, but it won't feel like it's your story, and it won't be impinging you, meaning I won't be reactive, I won't be triggered, I won't be afraid anymore. So if you want to learn something new, like technology, like people in our generation can be a little bit allergic to technology because it wasn't with us when our brains were more pliable and malleable when we were younger, and we kind of built structures that didn't have this in it. We're like, oh, wires, tubes, buttons. So I did a lot of tapping on myself to be able to work on the digital platforms and learn how to do these things and weave websites together and not black out or throw up, right? So anything that you're trying to do that you haven't learned to do, there's this resistance and this friction. You can sit and give yourself a tapping session, and suddenly that is like, oh, I'm not afraid anymore. I can do spreadsheets, or I can make this phone call, or I can have a boundary, or I can say no to someone, or I can say yes to someone. So these are ways that we can, use it to self-rectify and also progress. And if you
Yeah,
just do a little bit at a time, you'll find, you get to the top of the mountain through baby steps. So if I do a little bit of tapping on things that make me uncomfortable or scared or shut down or phobic or fearful, those fears diminish and disappear, and I become a different person, more
yeah,
myself, right? And
yeah.
that's true for everyone I've taught this to.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you're probably less in your head about how it cannot happen in your life or how this limitation persists, and you don't have an answer, to where your body just feels good when you think of that issue that you've been working on. It just feels
Absolutely.
kind of natural.
Yeah, because your brain has an inroad for it. It's like, you know, having a mind that has these little paths that we carved through this jungle. And they became, over time, so well traveled, they became super highways. But it's a highway to hell, and you're not liking where it's taking you. But that's just where I go when I hear that song, or I see that person, or it's that day of the week, or that day of the month, or whatever. And you're like, I really want it to go somewhere else, but there's no path there. It's like, okay, well, let's acknowledge where this path has taken you. We take the energy from that, and we're like, let's carve out a little macheted footpath through over to here where we really want to go. We want to go to
So,
yoga class instead of to the bar. So we're going to make a little space. We're going to imagine that. We forgive ourselves for how all the things that happened in the bar for all the years we were there, and we blaze a little trail. If I do that a little bit at a time, that new path to the yoga studio becomes a sidewalk, and then it becomes a
yeah,
road, and then it
yeah,
becomes a super highway. It actually doesn't take that long. It's just how many minutes am I exposing myself to that? If you're only doing
hmm
5 minutes every few months, it could take you a few years. If you're doing 5 minutes every few days, it could take you a few weeks. If you're doing 5 minutes every hour, it could take you a few hours.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just thinking about somebody that I know that has a hard time making friends and keeping friends, and she feels like she's never invited to anything. And I look at her and I go, well, you often complain. You haven't really learned how to tell jokes well. I find that people who are really attractive, they have a sense of humor to them. They're funny. and people like to be around them because they have something of interest to offer to everybody. And this person doesn't, she's complaining. She's very serious. She likes to talk about politics, and well, nobody wants to talk about it. So um, it's just, with something like this, it's so multi-level, and we always talk about things like, well, whether that be friendships or intimate relationships or poverty or money consciousness, um, they're always multi-perspective.
I'll
It's
tell you
never
what
just one thing.
I'll tell you what I would do for your friend if she were coming to me as a client. I would say, okay, so there's this idea that no one likes you and they don't want to be around you, and you've got a personality that people are reflecting that back to you. So yeah, you can try to change it out here, but what I would do with her is just I would skip here's all the things you could do and just start with, so tell me about your mom's personality, tell me about the energy in the home, tell me about your dad's personality. How did you get this way? And we would be processing, oh, mom was so triggery that we had to be quiet at home. We weren't allowed to play. We weren't allowed to have fun. We had the news on all the time. My
Mm,
parents were serious. They were, we got in trouble if we got silly or goofy. So we would process how it felt to be little when they were shut down from being spontaneous and joyful, and the only serious things were allowed. That's her neural network said that's safe because everything else is not safe. That's going to upset mom and dad. So we would work that out of the nervous system. Then, whatever coaching around, try an improv class, put a clown nose in your purse, learn a joke, learn to ask interesting questions that draw people out of themselves, get curious about people. Those kind of coaching things, they would stick. But if you
yeah.
give them the coaching before the neurological change, it just slides off. They can't remember it, they can't implement it as well, or if they do, it takes a huge amount of effort because underneath is the message it's not safe because it wasn't safe at home, and mom didn't have friends, and they were overly serious, and that's just the way we are as a family.
Yeah, it's almost like, because we both do, we both work with people, and some people, they almost feel defeated before they even start. And, and, uh, and I think your approach is you have to get something down to the core to begin
Yeah,
before you can get into this.
it's
So,
like you have to allow it to exist in your mind before it can exist in reality.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And if anybody has anything that they would like to say, oh, I would like to work on this topic, now's the time, because we probably need to start thinking about launching a short session.
Okay. Well, good. I'm going to make it really easy because there are people in different time zones that are going to be listening to this recording, and I want to make this a session that anyone can use on any topic, and I actually know how to
Hmm.
do that. So, with
Yay.
your permission, Bart, what I would love for you to do is probably just stay on camera but mute yourself so that people can just hear themselves. This is going to be a call and response. So I want the people listening to this to engage. This is an actual activity that we can do that I will lead you through. Meaning, I'm going to tap on me. If you're watching the video, you'll see it, but I'm also going to call out the points of where to tap. And then you're going to plug in, you listeners, and you, Bart, too, although we won't hear what you're saying, so you'll have some privacy here to process something.
So I will mute when you begin.
Okay, great. Um, so we're going to tap on these points, and we're just going to give ourselves a session. And I'm going to call out the points. I'm going to tell you where to tap and show you where to tap. And I'm going to have some fill in the blank moments so you can plug in the issue of your choice and use your own two hands to process it. And we're going to just give you a minute to tune in and say, okay, I have a magic wand, a little sample magic wand being offered to me right now. What would I like to wave it over that would help me move forward in my life. So one issue. Don't try to do your whole issue, your whole life in one go. Just one little segment. Like I'm handing you a toothbrush and you're going to scrub one little thing clean. Okay, so everyone just think about what is something that you know you need to process that you have not been able to take the time or energy to process at all. And you're like, yeah, I'm avoiding, I'm distracting, I'm numbing. It's too hard. So I'm going to hold your hand so it's going to be a little easier. You have a companion to go through this with you. And that's going to make it easier. Okay? So you pick your issue, remembering that you can use this video 100 times if you want. You can do lots of issues on the same video, and then you also have the World Tapping Circle if you really want to go deeper with this. Okay, so you picked an issue. It could be anything, first thought, or just practicing. And the second thing I'll say is when your body begins to off-gas stored stress from the nervous system, it might come out in different ways for different people. It might make you cough. It might make you yawn. Let yourself yawn if you need to yawn. This is a way of the body discharging energy. It's not rude. Remember, you have total privacy right now, so let yourself move. You can listen to this and walk around, right? Some people feel really sleepy when their brain is like, no, don't process. I'm not used to this change. Wake yourself up. Walk around. Stay present for this so that you get what you came here for, and you have an actual sample that you can be like, was this real? Burping, I'm a burper. So if there's something stuck in my nervous system, it comes flying out in a huge belch. I'm sorry about that. It's not food. It's just energy. Some people might feel like their bodies need to quick run to the bathroom. Keep going. Let your body eliminate, shake, shiver, move around. You might feel little pains rolling through your body as all of this old information is coming out. Your body knows how to do this given the opportunity. So we're just going to give it a little opportunity. We're going to be tapped for maybe 15 minutes or so. Okay. Now we're going to begin. You've got your issue, and I want to just ask you here at the front end, if you were to really sense how intense this issue is for you and pin it to a scale, 1 being hardly noticeable and 10 being, I'm about to do the dead bug dance on this one. How intense is your issue if you were to let yourself completely feel it, which I'm not asking you to do. I'm just asking you to guess. You know, basically, when this thing gets triggered, how hot is it for you? Okay? So just give it a number from 1 to 10. So we have a reference point of like, okay, I can tell internally this is where it's at. All right. Now I'm going to say some words. Feel free to edit them so they more accurately reflect your own experience, even if it's the opposite of what I'm saying. And one other thing I'm going to say is that we are going to toggle back and forth between the cold, hard truth of this sucks and it's awful. We are not driving that deeper. We're daylighting it. We're opening a closet being like, is this the scary thing in the closet? Okay, let's dance it around and talk to it. It's not making it worse. We're just admitting what is for now. And when we do that, it will release by itself. We're not going to push. We're not judging. We're not shoving. We're not trying to change anything. We're just going to notice what's in that cupboard, and we're going to put some loving light on it and watch what happens. That loving light will do the work. We don't have to do anything. We're just going to tap and acknowledge. You ready? Okay, good. So find your collarbones. Take a deep breath. Strong exhalation. It's really important that you focus on the exhale and don't blow it through a straw. Don't pinch your lips closed. Big open jaw, sigh. Big noisy sigh. Like that. That's right. Okay, here we go. Dropping down 4 to 6 inches to the front of the chest, massaging around until you find kind of a sore spot in the upper pectoral region. And that's going to hook the left and the right hemisphere of the brain together. This is a Chinese acupuncture point called the Sea of Tranquility, and it gives the left and the right brain a way to connect, meaning my linear brain is like, yes, you have my permission, and my emotional side is like, yay, it's my turn. We're making friends with ourselves. repeating after me as you massage these points, even though I'm struggling with, and then just say the name of your issue like it was a movie title. Now say, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Good. Now we're going to tap the beginning of our eyebrows, right where the eyebrows start. Tapping with one or two fingers gently, gently. This issue, and name your issue movie title again. Like my fear of spiders, or my, financial situation, or my big breakup, or my hip replacement, whatever you're going through. Big deep breath. Sliding down the eyebrows to the temples, tapping at the edge of the eye socket on the temples. This issue, name your issue again. That makes me feel, and then what are the first negative feelings that come up? Like angry, scared, frustrated, guilty, furious, ashamed, tired. Say it out loud and breathe, tapping the front of the cheeks. It's working, Bart. Bart is yawning. If you can't see him, I can see him. He just let out a huge yawn. He's so easy to work with. He's like, oh, I'll process this. Tapping the front of the cheeks where your cheeks stick out the most in front. I feel, and then name those negative feelings, especially the ones that are the hardest, like afraid, whatever it is. Let's just pick one right now. I feel so wet. And breathe. And just acknowledging that feeling. Beautiful. And here comes another yawn. Tapping under the nose and above the upper lip. Let's say it again. I feel so, and stick with that same negative feeling. Say it out loud and breathe. Tapping under the lips, tuning into that feeling. Where do you feel that in your body when you're acknowledging it? Like, where does that anger live, or where does that fear live? Do you feel it in your guts? Do you feel it in your genitals? Do you feel that in your neck? Do you feel that in your shoulders? Do you feel that in your jaw? And just say, for example, this anger I feel in my jaw, or this fear I feel in my stomach. And breathe. Good job. And tapping down to the front of the chest. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Say it with me. Even with all this, and then say that same negative feeling, like all this fear in my, and then say where it is. Big deep breath, big sigh. And just accepting for now this feeling of whatever that is for you in my, and then wherever it is. Just accept it for 30 seconds and breathe. Good job. Tapping down to the front of the rib cage. So put your hands on the front of the ribs. Feel where they stick out the most. There's a little hilltop. Tap on those last couple of ribs where they stick out the most, and breathe. Big sigh. Beautiful, Bart. You're such a shining example of this work. He is going after it, you guys. Good job. Tapping the side of the ribs, side seam of the body, so you can cross your arms like you're going to hug yourself, and tap the side seam of the body, nipple height, or you can use the back of your fingers, kind of do a monkey tap where you're tapping with the backs of your knuckles on that side seam of the body under the arms. And say with me, I am releasing the stress and the limiting feelings about, and then say your issue, that have been shutting me down, overwhelming me, making me tired. Tap the inside of the wrist So put your hand up like you're waving at someone, and you're going to tap the bottom of the hand at the inside of the wrist on the wrist bone. There's a bone. If you move your hand up and down, you'll feel that bone moving. Gently tap there. Each of these points does something different to the body. You happen to be in a heart point right now. Big deep breath. This is going to help the heart release tension around the subject that you're working on. Big deep breath. And sigh again. Just notice that the body is starting to defrost. And say out loud with me, I give myself permission to recover my energy, my balance, and my peace. Big deep breath, big sigh. Good job. Put your hand like you're going to karate chop something. Looking down at the top edge, you'll see the top of your thumb. Tap at the side of your thumb next to the nail. So you're going to tap on the side of your thumb next to the nail and just say, I'm open to loving and accepting myself, even though I've been afraid. And then say what it is that's scaring you or concerning you about this. What is it that you're worried about? I'm worried that I'm not going to get it done. I'm worried that I'm going to lose love. I'm worried that I'm going to fail. Big deep breath, big sigh. Tapping the index finger, stair stepping down. So you're tapping the side of the finger at the side of the nail. Keeping your hand in that karate chop position. This fear of, and then say again, what is your big fear here? I'm going to get rejected, or I'm not going to make it, or it's not going to work. Just acknowledge it for now. And breathe. Bart, you're doing so good. Tap the middle finger, same place. Stair stepping down, keeping your hand in that karate chop position. Side of the middle finger at the side of the nail. I'm open to loving and accepting myself, even with this fear of, and then name that fear again. Beautiful. Now we're going to flip to the other side of the finger. So the bottom side of the fourth finger. So keeping your hand in that karate chop position, you're tapping the opposite side of the bottom of the fourth finger, right at the side of the nail. I'm open to forgiving myself for not wanting to deal with this until now. For shutting down, blaming myself, or blaming anyone else for this experience. Big deep breath, big sigh. Beautiful. Back to the original inside edge of the little finger. So if your hand's in a karate chop position and you spread your fingers apart, you're just doing that inside edge between the third and fourth finger, side of the pinky finger, at the nail. Beautiful deep breaths. Your body is just releasing stored stress and old memory. Tapping the bottom edge of the hand. So again, if you were going to karate chop, that part of your hand where the karate chop would land, that fleshy side of the hand, just tapping that, big deep breath, and just say, I forgive myself for slowing myself down, stressing myself out, or telling myself So, what is a negative thing your brain has been saying to you about the situation? Like, it's too late, or you're not good enough, or you should have blah, blah, blah by now. So, you have 1 minute. Say it all. Tapping the bottom of your hand. All this negative self talk. What's been happening in there? Oh, yeah. Keep talking and tapping, tapping the top of your head while you're talking. All these limiting beliefs. Keep going. We've got 30 more seconds. Big deep breaths, tapping the side of the head, behind the ears, back of the skull, all over the head. Last call, negative self-talk. What else have you been telling yourself? And I don't deserve love, and I'm a crummy person, and nobody loves me. Tapping the eyebrows, big deep breath. I'm open to releasing this. Tapping the temples, even though I hear myself say that kind of stuff all the time. Big sigh. Big deep breath. Tapping the cheeks. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tapping under the nose. Even with this remaining issue. So just tuning into the issue that we're talking about. Around what? So name your topic again, this remaining issue about, and tapping under the lips and breathe. Big sigh. Part of me is really, and what's another big feeling there? Maybe there's still more fear to process. Maybe there's sadness. Maybe there's anger. What else is really true for you? I'm still really wet about this. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe I'm really anxious. Tap your chest and just say that same feeling. So if it was anxiety, you're tapping your chest and saying this anxiety, this remaining anxiety. Or if it's fear, this remaining fear. So say whatever's true, go. All over your chest. Tapping and breathing, naming what's still true. We've just got a couple minutes left, so be sincere. Just accepting for now what's here. We're not trying to judge it. We're not changing it. We're just being, yep, there it is.
Yes, Sonia, we have about 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. So we're going to wrap this up. Then what I want you to do is tap all over the body. And while you do that, I want you to notice the intensity around this issue. What was it at the beginning? And as far as a number, what is it now? Has it changed? Bart, what's your experience?
I feel like much more vibrant in my body. And I was working on digestive issues. And it feels very kind of more energy in my bowels.
Beautiful. So you can work on physical stuff, you can work on emotional stuff. Sometimes it's a combo of both. Thank you for your time and attention. Come tap with me, you guys. I do this all
Yeah.
the time.
And,
WorldTappingCircle.com.
and SonyaSophia.com, and that'd be SONYA. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Sonya. It was awesome. Much appreciated. And if you'll give a 30-second sound bite to end of the show after I tell everybody that this is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network and 107.7 and 103.5. And you can catch us on the UPRN website, on Roku, cable television, and other internet platforms. Sonya, a little 30-second soundbite of what you'd like to tell everybody.
I want you to remember that as we free ourselves, the world follows, and that you have the power in your own two hands to tap through anything that life throws at you, process in real time, come back stable and able. Your love matters, you matter, our peace matters, and together we are changing this world.
Great message. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next week with Mika Volnick. Bye-bye for now.